But I'm curious, like, how should Christians deal with discrepancies in the Bible, whether it's like the birth story or like the death of Judas or things like that?
Yeah.
What do you mean by discrepancies? Can you
Well,
explain
so there are
some of those?
differentiations in detail because we have 4 Gospels. They
Yeah,
all
explain what the
tell-
Gospels are to the people out there like me.
Yeah. To good Catholics like you. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John
Yeah.
are these biographies of Jesus' life. So 2 of them claim to be written by eyewitnesses. Matthew is Levi the tax collector, and John is the disciple, John. Luke and Mark are not. So Luke is a traveling companion of Paul, who writes this twofold document, Luke and Acts. And then Mark is, in the earliest church tradition, he's a traveling companion of Peter. So he gets his source information from Peter, which is really interesting in the fact that Peter does not look good in Mark. Like, that's where, get behind me, Satan. He's the disciple. Like, he's continually not getting what Jesus is saying.
Yeah.
And he, like, runs away, denies Jesus. So if the
Disciple.
earliest source material is true, which I think we have no reason not to think it is, especially because they don't then call it the Gospel of Peter, which they could if they're like, well, this is Peter's source information. They call it the Gospel of Mark, who Mark's generally a nobody. That only gives credibility to the fact that Mark probably wrote it. And then it has this connection directly with Peter himself. So 4 Gospels, 2 are claim to be eyewitnesses who wrote them, and then 2 claim to be like associates
Secondhand, yeah.
Yeah. So when the church is looking at all this literature and they're saying, okay, we have an Old Testament, like testamentum just means covenant. Diatheke in the Greek, you just translate it into Latin and it's testament. The Old Testament, God's covenants are always followed up by written texts. So that's why they collected. You have guys like Philo and Josephus. They talk about this stuff. What are the books? And then the Christians see Jesus. He establishes a new covenant. He's fulfilling what the prophet Jeremiah said in Jeremiah 31:31, where he says, I'm going to make a new covenant with my people. I'm going to write my law in their hearts. Jesus claims to fulfill those things. And then the early Christians who are Jews, who believe in Jesus as the Messiah, are saying, okay, here's the covenant, here's the promise, where are the written texts? And so they have these conversations of canonicity, which just means like, canon in Greek means a rule. So it's the standard. You know, you have like a Harry Potter canon, and then you have stuff that's non, or Star Wars canon, or Lord of the Rings canon, whatever. So the canon of Scripture, and they're saying, okay, what's in, what's out?
What's in, what's out. And these are all the stories about Jesus and his teachings at the time. First-hand account, second-hand account, third-hand account. Some are some rumors. And they have to go through, parcel through to find what has the most efficacy.
Yeah, so what the conversations they're having is, what are the documents that are either from someone who knew Jesus or someone who knew Jesus?